Well, Westworld season 4, not as long of a break. We
No,
when
still
we
long
ended
though.
on when we ended on season 3, I was less than super excited.
Mhm,
Um and so I honestly wasn't the difference between me waiting for season 3 from 2 to now 3 to 4 very different
mhm.
because after 2 is like, oh, it is coming back. Wow, okay, what's going to be? I love Westworld. 3 to 4, I'm like, well, I mean, I guess we got to try it. Give it a shot yet. Were you as down on it as me or a little more excited
Um,
than I?
no to both. I wasn't as down on it, I think, at the end of last season, but I also was very scared to pick it back up.
Okay.
You know? Like, I felt that we were going to, but it was almost like a dread. It was almost like "Oh, it's out now. Like, I gotta get watching it. I gotta get watching it."
Right.
And I just
Where is
wasn't
it gonna
sure that
go?
yeah, like, I was like, "I don't know that I want to, but I guess I will, because it was, like, one of our shows."
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
so, yeah, I wasn't excited to pick it back up.
So now that it has started,
Now that it's 2 episodes in,
what do you think?
man, I there are things that I love and things that I don't.
Okay.
So, I love some of the characters picking back up, um, because I've always loved Maeve, and I just, like, love her as a character, I love her journeys, I love the actress, I believe Tandaway is how you say her name?
Oh, I said
She
Tandy Newton, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
so she added the W back in because that's her, like, birth name, and so she was like,
Oh,
"Oh, I'm gonna go by
interesting.
my birth name now, I wanna change it."
Sure.
Um, so I apologize to anybody, I don't know how to say that. But I love her as an actress, I think she's done a killer job as Maeve, over the 4 seasons, and she is still killing it in this season. I actually like her and Caleb's partnership. I
Yeah,
think she makes him less annoying, and he's
sure.
a little more fun and a little more, like, quippy, a little more risky. I just feel like I get him as a character better, so that was a pleasant surprise. Um, I don't wanna jump into my favorite thing about this season because it's episode 2, but
Okay. Okay.
yeah, there are some pleasant aspects of this, and then there are some, um, that I'm not so fond of, which
Okay.
is Dolores/Christina, and
Okay.
I just don't know what this is. I don't know where this is going.
Sure. Right. Yeah, so we are set up with a season that is a few years in the future. I think it was
Mhm.
even like 7 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And from the ending of season 3, which
Yeah,
I
they
think is
specifically say.
which I think is a good call. I think it's
Mhm.
nice. We're separating. We're saying the events of season 3, they had their effect. What's the world look like now that that's done? Have we seen the changes? So that's some of the discussion, like all the chaos and stuff that happened.
Mhm.
Did it amount to anything? Are your lives different? Kind of thing. So that's
Yeah,
kind of one.
just to jump on that for a second, I feel like this is a smart move, the same way that The Boys having a time jump was a smart move. We've moved
Mm,
past, like, a kind of apocalyptic scenario into a moment where everything is calm and established and built so that we can start to unravel and tear it all down. And I
sure,
think that's a really effective place for both of these shows to be in right now.
sure, yeah,
They're
yeah,
totally different in the sense of, like, I don't feel like the storyline is being copied in any sense of,
right,
but it's a good time jump for both of these shows.
yep. And there's like a messiness that can be, I mean, there is getting into some messiness at the end of season 3 that I thought they weren't
Mhm.
executing well.
Right.
It's kind of what I always talk about with like zombie apocalypse something. It's like if you're going to do the daunting task of like World War Z and try to show how the world collapses, or even like I think it was Contagion, yeah,
Mhm.
talking about like a pandemic or epidemic sort of thing, like those things are challenging because there's a lot. It's such the scope is so large,
Mhm.
and so you need to have these things happen, but to see them happen can be difficult to showcase.
Mhm.
Versus like, let's just skip ahead, and we know a lot of garbage had to happen here, and we can imagine some of that, and we can explain some of it, but the rest of it, like, fill in yourself a little.
Right.
So yeah, I think the messiness of rebuilding and how we just know that society has settled in a kind of
Yeah.
new way here. Um, I felt that the city is a little more realistically futuristic in some ways
Mhm.
than before. I felt like before
Yeah.
Westworld, it'd be like, this just seems like today, kind of, but with some robots around, you know?
Some, like, autopilot cars.
Yeah. Hmm. Feels a
Yeah.
little more thoughtful now, a little
Yeah.
different.
I agree.
And then we're setting up our different kind of story. We have the William. What's William doing? Man in
Mhm.
Black, and then you already mentioned them.
Maeve and Caleb.
Maeve and Caleb, which I agree is a good pair right now. They're
Mhm.
interacting well with one another. And then um oh yeah, we had that's right. We had the surprise at the end of episode 1 that they didn't address in episode 2.
No, just
Um
completely ignored it.
yeah, I just totally forgot about that. But yeah, I should pull up these people's names here because I'm forgetting them all. But basically have these like kind of 3 um
Yeah,
plots.
Dolores
Dolores,
slash
yeah.
Christina, as she's now known. So she's a Dolores copy. Yeah, she's a
Yes.
Dolores clone.
As
As
far
far
as
as
I
we,
understand. Yeah, because there's
yeah,
definitely been some catching up. I like the recap, but it still left me in some moments like, okay, what exactly?
right.
Because Dolores very much died in
Hmm.
season 3. So yeah, we have a copy, but where did she come from
Right,
exactly? Like
right.
if that was in there before, I don't remember because there was more
So
than one of her.
right. So I think Dolores had escaped Westworld with like six, like hosts, like little balls, whatever they are,
Yeah,
like
for sure. Yep.
cores,
Hmm.
and some of them were copies of her,
Okay.
but it wasn't clear that all six of them were.
Okay. Right.
From what
Yeah,
I
some
can
of them
remember.
definitely
It's been
weren't
a while.
because she brought back Bernard
Right, right.
and
Yep.
what's her name now? Tessa Thompson.
Well, she's a different Dolores copy who like went rogue. It's because she was
Yes.
Hale Loris, remember? Charlotte
That's
Hale,
right.
Hale Loris. Yep.
Hale, yes, 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 yes.
But
Mm,
yeah, I think there was one other one
I
that
completely
that
forgot
they,
that.
yeah. So yeah, see, the recap doesn't help as much as it
Mhm.
should. It did need a little like boost of like remember all
Mhm.
these things because it was a lot.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. So I so far I have to say impressions. I am really liking the music.
Mhm.
I'm liking
Agreed.
the look of it. I felt like at times it really showcased itself in the fight scenes in season 3, but I feel like just so far the show is looking pretty good.
Mhm.
Um and it feels a little bit to me a little bit more reserved like season 1 was. Season 1 felt mature, evenly paced. It just felt like we've talked how it went from a cerebral show really in
Mhm.
season 1 and most of season 2 to kind of trying to be an action futuristic action show in season
Mhm.
3. Did not work for me. I feel like we're maybe going back a little bit. We're slowing down.
Yep.
We don't have so many storylines at the moment, you know.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm liking this, and it's setting up some interesting questions. Like we've got the flies, you know. So our
Flies.
opening is the man in black throwing down threats, and like infecting people with some sort of, I don't know.
Fly horde.
nanobot things, or
Yeah.
yeah, something that now we have dealt with people being able to program hosts. They can completely control hosts, to now
Mhm.
maybe the hosts are able to program humans in a way.
Oh,
And
a
so we're
bug in
getting
the
this.
system.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, I love it.
But we maybe have two different means to this happening,
Mhm.
because we've got the Man in Black thread that we're talking with Hale and
Sure.
him and the flies, but then also with the Dolores thread, where it's like she's writing video games and
But
like writing
maybe
them
that are
into
real.
existence. Yeah,
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
I don't know,
I'm very intrigued by this. If it's, and her boss seems to be um
an
very
ass.
shady. Yeah, he's clearly an ass, but like he's very shady about her projects and he doesn't like the ones that seem to be like, the games that she's pitching that are like hopeful stories. He's like, "Oh,
Yeah,
get back to what people like. Get back to like the death and the sex and." So it's very like, so is this you're writing out people's lives kind of thing?
right.
You know, it's kind of a
Yeah,
callback to like a longer route version of like Rehoboam. I think that's how you said it. The machine that like directed everybody's lives last season. Is it like a long form version of like now we have programmers at a gaming company
yeah.
writing out people's lives? It'd be very interesting if that's like you know, the
Th-
direction that this is taking.
right. This is I don't.
But it's
It's
like
intriguing
hosts
because
writing human lives.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
writing the loop for him.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's a very intriguing premise, and it's made more so because I don't know what possibly the answer and details behind this could be. So
Right.
I hope it's satisfying, because like this
Right.
sounds cool, but what the heck?
They're teasing it a lot. They're not giving us a lot.
Mhm.
Um, Even to the point where like so Dolores, I'm gonna say Dolores, but it's Christina. So
Christina. Okay,
Christina
Christina.
Christina is badgered by this guy who seems to be calling her and like saying like, why did you mess up my life? Why are you making me do these things? And he stalks her and she has encounters with him. So I to the point when he approached her, he hadn't been seen really by anyone else and hadn't really been acknowledged by anyone else. And then he was like suddenly up on a roof and about to jump. And then he did. And in the moment, I was like, did anybody else see that? Like, is he even real?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
you know
Yeah,
what I
yeah, yeah.
mean?
Mhm.
And
For sure.
it was only afterwards when like her roommate was talking about the obituary. But even then, like only her roommate talks about him. You know what I mean? Like, we have no other background characters that have, like, seen him,
That's
talked to
true.
him. So, like, maybe it's a plant and maybe her roommate's in on it.
She seems
Like, is
weird.
she seems off somehow. So I'm looking for something here
She
to,
seems
like, get
off
me forward.
because she's not, it's one of those friends, I guess, that never will take you seriously.
Yeah,
It's
she's
like,
never really,
"I have
like,
a
in her
problem,
life.
okay?" Yeah, right, and she's just, like, trying to be,
She's like,
"Go
"Going
have
on a
fun,"
date. Yeah, go
be
to dinner." Yeah.
frivolous, whatever. It's like, and so it could just be the sense of, hey, you've been down. I'm trying
Right.
to do what I think is best for you. But it also could be like, well, maybe listen to what I'm saying here.
Right.
And, but yeah, it could be totally be something to mess with her. It's just another employee from the work, you know?
Right.
So,
Like, who knows?
mhm.
So yeah, I'm
Mm,
hoping there's a interesting, the way that this is building, I hope that there's an interesting payoff, like you said.
yeah. I'm thinking, what are these games?
I
I want to
know.
know how they're played and who is playing them, because
Yep.
if the story is you're a guy that gets divorced, has kids, and then like commits suicide, no one's playing that. Like
Right.
you
Well,
might,
and she was like, when she was on this like horrible, horrible date that we had to live through with her, she's
yeah.
talking about she writes background characters.
Right. But then she's talking about the overall plot. So maybe
Right.
it's just one piece. Maybe that would make more sense. she's writing a character that you could potentially maybe save or help or something like
Sure,
that.
sure,
So in a larger scale scheme of things,
sure.
that would make more sense. So maybe that's the case.
Because yeah, that's
Yes,
awfully
that
fleshed out
helps.
for just a background character.
Well, but as things become more realistic, that's really important. They had it
Right, right. I'm
before
just saying,
in
like I
yeah.
feel like there's a difference between a background character and like just an extra or like a
Yeah.
body. You know what I mean? Just
Well,
on a screen.
and the reality is in the future, anything that's a lot of them are just going to be machine algorithm written,
Hmm.
so it will just a lot of the places will just be they'll populate and whatever, because they won't
Sure.
have the labor force to sit there and be so detailed about every single person, but
Ugh,
yeah.
sad.
Sad. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean,
it
it's
is definitely that people, I know some people myself that would love to work for the game company writing, and that sounds great, so if
mhm.
you could, yeah, but
Plug.
yeah, yep. Professional writer on stream right here, guys,
Yep.
right up
Right,
there.
right. Hey.
Yeah.
Wait,
Um, and so then, yeah, we have the Caleb Maeve storyline.
wait, wait. So if we're gonna go
Oh,
storyline by storyline, we obviously have to go with Dolores's biggest reveal. Dolores Christina. So she gets stalked by this like creepy Peter guy who like she
yep,
maybe kills in a video
yep.
game, but then he like commits suicide.
Hmm.
But before he does so, he like attacks her and she gets saved by someone she doesn't know. And she goes and runs away inside her house. And then we as an audience get to like get the pan back to the face of the guy who saves her. And dun dun dun! It's Teddy.
Yeah. You know,
Teddy.
you
What
know
is he
what I
doing back? And is it
right.
actually Teddy?
I mean, he's hanging around Dolores, right? So,
But like, is it like
old
a
Dolores.
Dolores copy somehow? Or
Oh
is it
God.
Teddy?
Oh God.
Is she
This
is he one
Dolores
of the
copy is going to give Dolores everything she wishes Teddy would have given her before. Like he's going to know
I
exactly what.
mean,
Mhm.
maybe. But yeah, so that's the question. Is it Teddy or is it a Dolores copy? Is it even a host or is it like somehow like a fluke of a, you know, human
Hmm.
that he's based on
It's an
or
NPC she wrote.
I mean,
Wrote him into
maybe.
existence. Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know.
That's the
Yeah.
question and I'm dying to
Mhm.
find out and I can't believe
Mhm.
they didn't touch it at all in episode 2 because that to
Yeah.
me was like the biggest thing out of her storyline. Teddy's
That's
back.
surprising. I wrote it in my comments like, wow, it's like they had a plan. What a novel idea. Because
Mhm.
they in the post credit things they
Yes.
mention
Which I
that
watched for good measure because I was like, I need
nice.
to get back
Yeah.
all in this. So,
Yeah. They well, I think last season they had some details or they no,
mm,
that was in Raised by Wolves. It's like, okay, that
some
detail
very
needed to
clutch
be in
details,
the
yeah.
show. Yeah. So, but yeah, it was I like that they talked to the actors, said, "Hey, we're putting you on hold. We're going to bring you back later."
Yep.
So that's cool that it seemed like they have an idea of where things are
Yes.
going.
Yep.
So yeah.
Okay, we can
Um
move on to Caleb Mame now. I just needed to get my Teddy freak out in there.
yeah. So Caleb is kind of back working like he was sort of thing,
Construction, yep.
but he's got a wife and kid now. So that's fun.
Yeah.
But and things seem good, but at the same time, he and his wife are a little distant,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they've clearly got some marital tension going on. I do want to say that the kind of setup for Caleb's storyline was one of the few things that like actually actively disappointed me.
was it the
S-
dialogue?
It
His
was,
coworker?
yeah, it was clunky and it was
Yeah,
like, "Oh, are you really in a different place now?" And I was like, first of all, this seems like weirdly introspective for you guys. Like
yeah,
I'm just meeting you and you're trying to get like super deep somehow
right.
and I'm not feeling it. And also like it just ignores a bunch of context for Caleb's life. Like, before in season 3, he was, like, doing this very rote work. He was doing it with a robot who he couldn't communicate with. He had no, like, almost no human communication except for, like, this, like, crime sprees that he used to
Yeah.
do. He was fated to die. Like,
Yep.
his life in context is very different. Like, sure, he's still working construction, but, like, he's working with human partners. He's got a wife, he's got a kid. Like, he
Nice
knows
house.
a nice house, he, like, knows what he wants. Like,
Yep.
I don't know, it felt a little, like, you know,
It
heavy-handed.
Yeah. It like I say, it was clunky. It did feel shoehorned. That dialogue, particular
It was bad.
conversation. It was a fair question, but it wasn't
It ca
handled
it
well. It was really
Yeah, it
amateur.
came about in a really awkward, like, unnatural way.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
it was almost, like, too direct. Like, I could have
Yeah.
used some sort of, like, hinting to, like, consider this question, but don't just, like, ask it outright.
Yeah. Mhm. I could see other shows doing this as like a on the news thing,
Yeah,
in the
mhm.
background, sort
Yep.
of talking to two people, like how things have changed now, whatever.
Yes, yes,
uh,
and, like, that would have been fine with me. But,
mhm.
yeah, this was a little bit much. But from there, I really felt Caleb's storyline, like, take off. Like, everything, was kind of just, like, building into these, like,
Yeah.
he's having, like, tense moments with his wife because he can't quite let the war go, which get it. I mean,
Yep.
what a super traumatic time for him to live through. He's continuing to be paranoid, which is spilling over into their daughter's life. It's spilling into her life. But as we find out, like, pretty much right away, he was right to be paranoid
Mhm.
because people are after him. Like, the
Yep.
man in black is back and he's got some plans, and Caleb and Maeve are clearly in his line of fire.
Well, and really, so I guess we'll get to them in a bit, but yeah, I won't jump over them yet.
Yeah.
Clearly, Maeve and Caleb's storyline is more intertwined with Hale and the Man in Black. They're
Right.
directly aware that he's around and is seeking them out, so they're going to do the
Which
same.
I loved the rewind trick that Maeve pulls on the hosts who are sent after her.
Hmm.
I love that, just, like, plug in, rewind your memories. Like, I'm digging this trick that she's got going on.
Yeah, and I liked the scene, seeing where Maeve was. She was still like, yeah, it was kind of sad. She's still living in her memories in a way,
Mhm.
rewinding there.
Yeah.
Um, so she does the put on a good face thing, but
Mhm.
you know, has issues or whatever. But I liked that setup, and I also liked the people when the people came after her, how she dealt with them, because I feel like in season 3 she would have just like 1 on 8 kung fu'd them all, you know?
This was
She would
very
have shut
realistic,
she
yeah.
would have shut down a few with her powers and then kung fu the rest. And this was cooler. Drive the truck up there, blow it up from afar. Most of them are
Mhm.
taken care of, get the jump on the other guy and chop his head
Mhm.
off. That was good.
Yeah.
So I thought it was cool too. I didn't recognize the guy when she talked to him. It's like, "Oh,
Mhm.
Colonel, whatever," and then again in the app post credits thing, they're like,
You're
"Oh,
like,
yeah, he's
"Ah,
our host."
yeah."
Yeah,
Yep.
so that's fun. Um, so yeah, they're kind of on the path to try to find the Man in Black. Like you say, doing their rewind stuff. We see a lot of that picking up in episode 2 as well.
Mhm.
We do get a fight scene. I thought it was pretty good. Um, Came
Yeah,
out of
yeah.
nowhere. I didn't expect those people to be hosts.
Yeah, and it was fun that, like, Maeve was a little glitchy in her just, like, freeze all motor functions. Like, she's gonna
Yeah.
have some troubles with that, maybe. Like she was talking about, the Man in Black has some upgrades, and
Mhm.
it's nothing she can't handle for now.
Right.
But I feel like we're leading to a moment where she's not gonna be able to handle it.
Mhm. Well, and so that's the other thing, like, well, they're looking for the Man in Black. But the Man in Black is how much autonomy does he have? Because I seem to remember at the end of episode of season 3, we had
He's a host.
yeah, but there's a whole bunch of I think they showed a bunch of copies of him or something like that.
Right,
So they're
right,
ready for if he's, taken down, put him in a new body.
right.
But so it is a digitization of the Man in Black, right? It
Mhm.
is, but the real Man in Black still exists, but
Big reveal,
it's
yeah.
really it's Hale that's in charge. So it's
Yeah, which is Dolores.
yes, Dolores Hale is in charge,
Mhm.
and the Man in Black, yeah, that's I'm just interested in what autonomy he has. Like, how much is
Yeah,
he the Man in Black, or how much is he puppet
right.
to Hale Dolores?
And I mean, did she make another copy of herself that could get warped and twisted like Hale Loris, Hale Dolores got
Right.
twisted from like Dolores's original intention?
Yeah.
So is there going to be a point where one of the copies of the man in black is like going rogue because something traumatic happens?
Yeah.
Because Hale really went rogue because of like her family that she was placed in and all the trauma and bonding that happened there.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so you're
Right.
right. Like, how much autonomy did these like copies of the Man in Black have? Um, when is something going to happen where it's like snap him one way or the other? Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Like,
I
are
mean,
they just
and yeah,
aligned, or is there gonna come a point where they diverge and don't agree anymore, and is she
right. And
putting
who
fail
power
safes?
struggle? Yeah,
Yeah.
who
Mhm.
comes out on top for sure?
So I'm glad that I'm glad he's back in this kind of form. I didn't like seeing him kind of crazy and stuff before. I didn't think it
Hmm.
served particularly well or went on too long or something. But it's
Yeah,
fun seeing him now, like, run down,
beaten.
vice president and stuff like that. And
Yeah, on the one hand, he's like super badass, like taking down vice presidents and, getting holes in one. And on the other
yeah,
hand, he's like beaten and, the real version
the
of
original
himself.
self. Yeah.
Yeah, his like human self is beaten and is being kept in like stasis in
Yep.
one of these like, like the original machines that write or program or like create host bodies.
Yep.
So
hmm
very interesting that it's like that tool has been repurposed that way.
Yeah. And so I think this is so far because we don't know enough about the writing of NPCs and computer stuff. We don't know enough
Mhm.
what's going on there. So to me
Right.
right now, this is the most interesting premise that applies to, like, the fun thing of these is always the warnings for the future kind of, and
Right.
this is like, well, we can't get things done the way we want or whatever, so we're just going to replace the people that are in our way. We just
Yep.
take them out and put a copy in that will do as we say. And so
Mhm.
there's two methods to this, it seems. We have one, the fly method, that's
Mhm.
literally taking the human body and manage to control it somehow. And then
Which
we have
Hale seems to be clearly still perfecting or working on in some way.
right. Mhm.
Unclear whether or not like her infection of the senator's wife and the way that turned out was intentional or like
Yeah.
was enough to get the job done but wasn't great. Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like I don't know that that's like a success or not.
Right. Because why was she left to her own devices in there? It's like,
Right, why was she, like, butchering all the horses? Like,
yeah.
what did that serve in,
hmm
the purpose of, like, getting Caleb and Maeve to the opera?
Yeah. Because they kept her alive so she could be useful or something yet.
Which was to get
And
Caleb and Maeve to the opera, right? So that
right.
they could
So,
they could get down to that speakeasy, so they could
but why do
my
we want
favorite
that?
part.
But why do we want that? Why is
Because
that
because
what
they have to get on the train and go back to Westworld.
I know, but like, for the integrity of the story, why would the Man in Black, why would Hale want them coming back yet? Like,
So
what are they scheming for these two? Or is it
so
just like, you're gonna walk into our trap?
Yeah, I think it's you're gonna walk into our trap, and I think it's also like, they want somebody to witness. The
Mm,
same reason I think
it's not aware.
Dolores keeps William alive because she
Right.
wants him to like witness her like total dominion and just like
Mm,
rub it in his face. I think she also ultimately wants them there to like witness this
sure.
because there's some attachment to them. I don't know if that it's that she needs them to like realize she wins and like come back to her maybe or like be a part of things or like just know that they're beaten. But like, yeah, I
I
feel like
hope
there's
there's
a
a
I feel like there's a connection there and like a need for witness or validation or something.
I hope there's something like that and they make it kind of clear because that's a very human thing. And
Mhm.
if Hale showcases that a lot, that's kind of neat. And it's
It
because,
gets us back to that like what is human question and like
yeah, because what would you, where is the satisfaction if you manage to successfully replace all the people that you want with hosts? You're gonna
yeah,
just slowly recreate the population this way and whatever, have everything done that you want when no one knows about it.
right.
No one knows
There's
of
that
your
need.
conquest.
Right, there's that need to like show it off, that need to
Yeah.
be like look at what I did.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Could be. Could be.
So, but yeah, obviously, big spoiler alert. That's my favorite part of episode 2. They're tricked into going to the opera, tricked into going into a speakeasy. Um
Yeah.
and we find out the speakeasy starts moving and it's the
Mhm.
train back to Westworld, only it's not Westworld.
Right.
We are now in the roaring 20s, which inspired my drink, the bee's knees, or as I call it, the fly's
Nice.
eyes.
Oh, there you go. All right. Nice.
So, I love it. I've always wanted to get back to the park,
Okay.
and I love that we're back
In a new theme. I'm sure everybody
in
on
a
the
new
show is
theme.
excited to be making new sets and all this stuff like that. So,
Mhm.
the
Yeah,
costume.
I thought it was really clever the way that they, like, showed the dressing room, but in a sense of, like, you still thought it was gonna be Westworld. You know what I mean?
Mm,
The costumes weren't clear enough to give you the sense of, "We're not going literally back to Westworld," until they stepped off the train and it was like, "Ah, these
mm.
are not Western clothes."
I was spoiled by the preview.
Oh, okay.
In the first one, they showed like coming up and I
I
saw
didn't, yeah.
some like roaring 20s stuff. So,
I didn't
yeah.
see that, or I maybe missed it or chose to ignore it, but yeah,
Yep.
I dug it. I dug the way this reveal played out.
Yep. Yeah, it's fun. She does the hats. That was
Mhm,
feel like that was the reveal there. Yeah. Mhm.
mhm.
That's fun. Um, interesting, bold, I must say, of the host lady to offer to dress Caleb in front of his supposed wife.
I know. I was like, I know that they're there for, like, everybody's every pleasure or whatever,
Hmm.
and, like, they call it back out to, like, the first, you know, host who, like, does this for the Man in Black, but yeah, Maeve is right there, chick.
Yeah. Yep. Uh, never know. Um, so yeah. Yeah, that's fun. What else have we got going on? Oh, Clementine's back
Mhm.
helping out.
Yep,
I
she
felt
gets
bad
a
for her,
reboot.
but she's kind of pretty cool now. I like her. She does a good job. I wrote in the comments somewhere, she kind of reminds me of you, not in
Yes,
like
you
the
did.
cold-hearted like way or like that. Just
Murdering the
like,
Secret Service as I
yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah. Just like, I don't know, facially, it just kind of
Yeah,
look similar.
yeah, I feel that. Yeah, she gets I mean, I'm glad she was rebooted instead of just, like, dead, as I feared after the Man in Black came after her, but, yeah,
Mm.
she's quite scary. Um,
Yeah.
and I think it'll be fun. I'm guessing some point there'll be a showdown between her and Maeve, and it's gonna be maybe a point in which Maeve can't use the super superpower
Yeah,
freeze all motor functions, and it's gonna get real.
that'll be sad because they were such
Ex
important allies before.
exactly.
Um, I had a note, like, why do you think Hale Loris has kept the one arm all scarred? She
Mm,
was burnt everywhere
yes.
and she's perfectly fine except for the
Except
arm. I
for
was like,
the
is this a
yeah.
reminder thing or is what? Why is this? Or is this just kind of a thing for the audience to kind of throw away? Like, hey, remember she was burnt? I wouldn't like
Ooh,
that answer as much, but
yeah, I hate that answer, so, I mean, we'll have to see if they keep, in showing her in the future episodes, like, if they keep the scarring and they keep
mhm,
that consistency. Um, yeah, I'm hoping it's like a I'll never forget kind of thing, like
right.
a visual reminder of the trauma that she went through.
Yep. Yep. Um, and then I just seeing this picture up here now. Dolores looks so different with this hair color and stuff.
Mhm.
Like very different. So
Very different. Yep. Which is yeah, I'm not sure if we're just like being helped to fixate on her as like Christina for the
right.
time being, but it's really messing with me. I don't know why, but I'm really not feeling her as a Christina.
Mm.
And
Well,
it's
we
not even that
definitely
like, she's Dolores,
mhm,
she's so Dolores. I just feel like they could have picked a better name.
sure. I like that she is not the Dolores we were used to in the last season as much. It's good to see kind of this closer to what original Dolores was,
Yes.
a little more innocent
Naive.
again. Yeah.
Mhm.
And seemingly unaware that she is a host. Because at first we're
Yes.
starting, I'm like, okay, she's just playing
Right.
life,
She's calling herself
playing.
Christina.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting yeah, how this goes.
Mhm.
Um, and then I guess I'm worried about in the next one. Looks like we're going to be talking about um, Bernard. And I thought in the last season, Bernard's storyline was one of the weakest, unfortunately, because I
Mhm.
like Bernard, but he was pretty worthless. He was emasculated a lot. He like would go over these places and do nothing. He was with
Mhm.
the bodyguard that did nothing. It really felt like there was not much accomplished. And I forget how it ended exactly, but he was with the like putting the headpiece on and like a
Mhm.
lot of time passed. So are we
Yes.
going to like be I don't know where we're gonna go. I just I hope that storyline that they're bringing in because I'm happy with the storylines we have right now. So they're
Mhm.
bringing this one in. Hopefully, it's meaningful and better than where we saw him last season.
Yeah, cuz yeah, I'm also similarly concerned. I liked Bernard as a character for a while and I liked him like finding out about himself and like the big
Trippy, yeah,
reveal that he himself is a host and like,
mhm. It's all
that
great.
it was so strong and then yeah, season 3 fell apart. I do like the security guy, Ashley something
Yeah.
Stubbs,
Yep.
I
That sounds
think.
right. Mhm.
I thought he actually had like a slightly stronger storyline than Bernard because he like had the whole like sacrificial thing going on. Um, so yeah, I'm excited to see them back, but I need a strong storyline. These are two great actors who have done some good
Yeah.
things, especially Bernard.
Yeah.
So give him a storyline worthy of his time.
Yep. I always liked the Bernard that was the like I don't know how to describe him, but he was like calm, cool, collected,
Hmm.
wise. And I understand how it's jarring to then switch to like on the run and kind of scared and different, but I never
Hmm.
liked that Bernard.
Mm-mm.
Um, and I don't know. So I hope we can I don't know, he finds himself or whatever. We find out who Bernard really is when he's just himself more.
Right. Well, because I mean, it's hard to like put pieces back together sometimes. But
Yeah.
he's a copy of one of the original park's
The
founders,
founders.
correct?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yes. Okay.
Arnold.
Arnold, that's right. So I feel like there's a potential for him to find himself in posing Hale Loris and maybe helping Dolores Christina find herself.
Yeah.
There's maybe some potential there for like a strong storyline, but it would, I don't know. You have to write it well.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
not only does Bernard have to like settle into an acceptance of himself as Arnold, which I don't think we ever really fully got.
right.
He has to get there, but then he also like maybe has to fight Hale, maybe has to help Dolores, maybe something else that I'm not thinking of. I don't know.
Hmm.
But he
Yeah.
needs a purpose other than just like, okay, I'm Arnold.
Yeah. Right. Mm. All right. Well, anything else we really missed from the first two episodes?
Um, I don't think so.
There's a
Yeah.
lot, but ultimately, I'm much more excited at the way this season has opened
Mhm.
versus last season. And though I'm worried, I'm hopeful. Like we've got interesting questions being asked that I'm ready to find out what the answer is and go on that ride.
Right. Yeah. Season 3, it was an interesting premise, but unfortunately poorly executed. There were glimmers, there were pieces that were cool. The base concept I liked, but it was too much, too sprawling, too divided, like you said, too actiony. It was too out of the Westworld park. It was too much. It was too
Yep.
many things. So this season feels like more contained, and
Because
that's where I think it does well.
I mean, obviously it's simplifying, but I feel like season one was really asking how would humans react if we had made machines, robots that were so lifelike that we couldn't tell the difference. How would we
Hmm.
react? How would we respond to that? Season 2 is really about like what does it mean to be human?
Hmm.
And where does the line blur
Hmm.
there and back and forth?
Yeah.
And in
If
fact,
our robots like start to learn what we've done to them, is it right for them to like be seeking revenge and justice
yeah.
because they're potentially human too, in a way?
And addressing the simplicity of humans, like how
Mhm.
really predictable they are and how a little amount of code can be, used to describe a person.
Mhm.
Moving to season 3, it's like, okay, the idea is, um, we think for the betterment of the planet and for the species, we can kind of create an all-encompassing AI that can monitor everyone and decide what's the best way forward. and
Mhm.
and there's
Ooh.
some people that are not going to play nice with this system, and we have to get rid of them, but everybody else we can kind of fit into this system and understand how, and then we can now plan out the best course of action. And so
Mhm.
then it's just, our heroes deciding that that's not the way we want to deal with the chaos of freedom versus that kind of structured control. So I love the premise. I love the topic. That's why I like. There was still lots to talk about with the season, but I just like you say, it wasn't handled well.
Mm-mm.
So yeah. All right,
All right, good job,
Westworld.
Westworld. Season
Yeah,
4 opening. We're on a
yeah.
right path.